everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a small declutter. I am ready to part ways with a handful of makeup and skincare products from my collection. They're just no longer serving me, or things that I'm just not interested in using up in their entirety. And yeah, it's not that many items at all. It's I think 10 or 11 products. So I have been very cognizant of ensuring that these are things that I really don't think I'd actually be able to use up. Unfortunately, there are some items that are a little bit older from my collection, and I'm trying to mitigate that happening in the future. So I don't want to put a ton of energy and effort into these items that I don't love when I can really love on the things that I already own and that are in more closer to like new condition. I don't really have a ton of new products per se, but things that are closer to that. They're newer in my life. And I have been working on my makeup inventory as of late. I've also weaned my way off of several project pans, so I've had the opportunity to really put these products to the test, rotate through my collection as of late, and really make sure that everything that I have in there is something that I want to love on in the future. So these are the things that just, they're not doing it, they didn't make the cut, and I'm just gonna share with you kind of why that is. And yeah, let's hop on into all of the products I'll be decluttering. This first item is a mini lipstick from Bite. This is in the shade Whiskey, and this is from their original Amuse Bouche kind of formula. So this is a deep chocolate brown kind of color. It has like this almost slightly purpley kind of undertone. Like it's like a deep chocolate raisin is kind of how I would describe it. And the color is still really impactful, and the product itself is still very creamy. It doesn't smell like it's gone off, maybe a little bit more waxy than it used to be, as opposed to like that sweet scent that it used to have. But I've had this in my collection for years. When Bite first launched their lip pencils, I received a box from Influencer, and in that box I had two mini lipsticks. This is one of them. And I have worn this on my lips collectively, I'd say 4 times in the entirety of having this in my collection. I've swatched it several times and been like, yes, that's kind of a fun shade. I will maybe wear that one day. That would be a lot of fun to try out. I feel like that would be a cool look, but then I never actually reach into it. And it's gotten to this point where I've overlooked it in several declutters, swatched it just like this and thought, yeah, that's cool. But it's never come to fruition that I've actually used it. And when I think about the other brown lipsticks that I have in my collection, like the one that I'm wearing today, I will wear this 100 times over ever putting this actually on my face. So it's just about time. This is so old. It's not going to be something I can pass on to someone at this point, and I should have done it long ago. This is definitely a good learning lesson for me. The fact that I didn't get use out of it in the first like 6 months or first year of having it should have been a really good indicator that it was time to pass it on while it was still okay. And I have well and surpassed that like 4 times over. And I just can't believe that I didn't want to part with it prior. But it's now the time, and it's definitely something that I am taking as a good learning lesson for myself for the future. And then I am also going to be decluttering this, which I had overlooked in my lip product declutter earlier this year as well. This is the Physicians Formula, the Healthy Lip. This is a liquid lipstick. This is in the shade Bear With Me also. And it's like this rosy coral kind of shade. It is, in theory, a very beautiful color. I had this in my 20 favorites in 2020 project pan, which is almost 2 full years ago that I had started that project. And then I ended up deciding that it was time to shift it into the cream cheek product category in my makeup collection. So I ended up switching it over for my most recent makeup inventory, and I just haven't used it in either way. I haven't used it as a lipstick or as a cream blush. And then in this past month, I decided to pull it out, try it out as both of those things, and I just didn't like it in either way. My personal preferences have just shifted so far from wanting to wear liquid lipstick, so when I wore this recently as one, I felt very out of my element. It's not the fact that it's a like more dry kind of formula. That is in part why I don't enjoy them, but I also just don't like the very like stark, very abrupt line that I get with a liquid lipstick. It just looks very artificial, and I really like the more soft, less structured look of a traditional bullet lipstick or a lip gloss. I just tend to prefer that on my face, on my features. I didn't always love that. I used to really like a liquid lipstick. I think a lot of us did for quite some time there, but I've come to realize I just don't find it as flattering on my face. And I did also wear this recently as a cream blush to really put it to the test. And yes, it did the trick. It was okay. This color was all right for a blush. However, it just didn't stand out in comparison to other cream blush and liquid blush formulas in my collection. I know I will not choose to reach for this over those, and I would just rather use what I have in that category as its intended purpose instead of like dedicating serious time to this product, which I just don't love quite as much. And then I will also be decluttering actually 2 highlighters. They're very comparable kind of formulas, weirdly enough, but it's not the formula that's the deterrent for me or the reason why I no longer want to have either of these in my collection, but that is just kind of a funny kind of note to make. So the first one I have here is the Stila. This is the Heaven's Hue highlighter in the shade Transcendence. This is, in theory, a really fun highlighter. There was a time in my life when I was super into trying out more colorful and more blingy and more interesting kind of highlighter products, and I just am not in that phase anymore. So this kind of lavendery colored highlighter is just not something I'm gravitating towards at all. There's a swatch of it right there. I don't know if you can even tell that it has like that purpley shift, but it would have been something that I liked a few years ago. This was actually a declutter from a coworker at the time, and I had purple hair, or I just was about to dye my hair purple, something like that, when she decluttered it to me. And I remember loving it with purple hair. I thought it was so fun because I was in like my all-out color phase of life at that time. But I have definitely shifted my preferences when it comes to highlighters. Oftentimes I don't even wear one these days, which is kind of problematic because I own so many highlighters, but I'm definitely not gravitating towards colorful products like this one. I just don't foresee myself actually ever wanting to use this over anything else in my collection. In the time that I've had it, which has been like about 3 years, I've worn it collectively maybe like 12 times. I've told myself, oh, I'll one day use it kind of like the Becca Backlight Priming Filter, which I don't own or have never owned, but it kind of has that purpley sort of shift to it. So I had been thinking I'd wear it kind of like as a priming product, and never once tried it out that way, and don't really feel inclined to do so. Lesson definitely learned with this one. Colored highlighters are just not for me. I could always use a purple eyeshadow on my cheeks if I feel super inclined to do so, but I don't really often have that inclination. And the other highlighter I'm parting ways with is the Colourpop Super Shock Cheek. This is in the Pearlized finish, and this is in the shade Flexitarian. This is a very icy highlighter. As you can see, it's like almost white beige. Very, very, very light and extremely, extremely reflective. This is a swatch of it right here on the end of my hand. You can see it is so reflective. Like I said about the last one, I'm just not super into a lot of highlighter these days, and definitely not something that has this much impact and this much bounce back of light. This color actually isn't very flattering on my coloring as well. I have a very warm undertone, and even when I'm at my fairest, this can kind of pull almost like blue-gray on my skin, and it just doesn't do any favors for me. I've recently worn it several times trying to make it work underneath the foundation or on top of foundations, but like kind of buffed into the skin. And although I don't really go out and about, I'm not doing any crazy things throughout my days, I didn't even feel confident wearing this when I was just on a Zoom call with a client for work. I work from home and I still felt like weird wearing this. It just felt too bright and I didn't feel at my best in it. And if I don't feel very confident wearing a highlighter on a Zoom call where, you know, you can't even distinctly see all the details of my makeup, then I know I just don't feel confident wearing this out and about. And then the next makeup item I have here is a concealer. I've had this in my life for a couple of years, and I have tried this so many ways, and I cannot ever get it to cooperate with me. This is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r Concealer. This is in the shade 185. I got this shade because I wear the foundation in the shade 190, and that was a really great match for me. When I worked my way through that foundation, I never felt like it was a problem to wear. Even sometimes in like the summer when I was more tan and in the winter when I was more fair, I could always kind of make that shade work. And then I ended up getting this in the shade 185, which is one step down, which was a mistake because I know that the colors are actually made to like pair with each other. So I should have got 190 in the concealer, because even though it is technically the same color, they're actually made like 2 shades down so that you can wear them as like a brightening under eye kind of product, but have the same matching corresponding color. So I wish I had gotten this in 190. I may have had a different experience with it if I had done so, but this just has never been a good shade match for me. Even when I'm at my most fair, it is far too light for me. This color just pulls almost gray on my skin. It makes my under eyes look more blue somehow, as opposed to canceling out the blueness because it's so light. I cannot wear this as a eyeshadow primer either. It absolutely does not work in that way because it creases so much. This formula tends to love to find my lines. So in my eyes, it falls into the creases, on my lids, and on my under eyes, it falls into my crow's feet and the, you know, the little lines I have underneath my eyes as well, those like creases there. It loves to live in those spots and not actually just be a nice, smooth, uniform kind of canvas. And it's just always been a problem for me. I've never found it flattering in terms of the actual texture because it falls into those lines, or the color because it's far too bright. Recently, I've been really trying to make this work because I don't have a ton of concealers in my collection at the moment, and I just feel like I want to use what I have. I'm really in that kind of mindset. I want to use it, but I can't get it to work. Even when I mix it with other concealers or even the Flower Beauty blush bombs, I've been mixing it with the shade Nectar to kind of create more of a color correcting peachy kind of shade. Still doesn't work. I have a First Aid Beauty concealer in one of the deeper shades that I use as like a mixer kind of product, and I can't mix it with this and make it work. That formula sits really nicely on the skin, and when I mix it with this one, it just becomes disastrous. So it's far from cooperative with me in any way that I've tried. And believe me, I have tried this numerous times. I really wanted to make this work and I can't. I absolutely cannot. So it is time. It's time to say goodbye. No more weighing me down, Fenty Beauty. And then I'm gonna be parting ways with 2 eyeshadow palettes. The first one, I feel like some of you might be like a little shocked that I'm saying this, but it's currently the oldest eyeshadow palette in my collection, and it is definitely due time to part ways with it. This is my Urban Decay Electric palette. This is the palette that I think truly catapulted my love for colorful eyeshadows. Previous to owning this, I had tried some colors here and there, never really felt very confident, but there was something about this selection of colors and just this formula and this curation here that really inspired me and really excited me. And this was a pivotal moment in my makeup kind of journey, I feel like, when I brought this into my collection. But that was back in, I believe, 2015, maybe 2016, but I think it was 2015. And we're heading into 2022. It's definitely time to part ways with her, which is so sad because I have tried this recently. Ever since I concluded my Pan Those eyeshadows, or as I was like approaching the conclusion, I had been reaching into these shades just to see how they would work, and they're just no longer giving me that feeling that they used to. I think that's just simply because of the age now. The metallics are not looking as vibrant or as impactful in terms of like their finish. The mattes are still quite pigmented, but they're going down a lot more patchy, not as evenly as before. And yeah, I just feel like it's a sad moment, but it is definitely its time. It's run its course. I have loved using this palette, and I'm making that sound very dramatic because I am really still gonna hold on to it. I'm gonna use these as nail polishes because these metallics still do work very well as nail polish toppers. They work impeccably for that. and it's just so nostalgic. I don't think I can actually like ever completely part ways with it, but it will no longer be a part of my eyeshadow collection, and it won't be eligible to be rolled into my Pan Those eyeshadows anymore. I had a lot of fun with that palette, and it really is one of my favorites that I've ever had in my collection. It really did leave a mark on me. And then the next eyeshadow palette that I'm going to be parting with is another colorful one, but it's not one that I've had the same experience or feelings about. This is the Blush Tribe Blossom palette. This is an all mattes, mostly colorful eyeshadow palette, and I have been reaching for this recently just to kind of get a feel for if it's something that I want to keep in my life, because I hadn't rolled it into my Pan Those eyeshadows, and I'm pretty sure I only used it in total one single time in all of 2021. So I've been reaching for it a little bit more often recently to see if it's something that I want to work on in the future, to use, to love on. And I haven't really felt compelled to reach into this. It just isn't doing anything for me. It's not making me excited or interested. And yeah, I don't really have any sort of positive feelings towards it, other than the fact that my friend Alexi did send this to me as a declutter a few years ago. She sent this in a package that she had sent me for my birthday, actually, and I just don't really feel like I have any sort of affinity for the shade selection or the formula itself. And when I've been thinking about my eyeshadow collection, I really just want to have things that I really want to use and not just simply use them because they get rolled into my Pan Those eyeshadows. However, I don't want to do like a mass declutter of my eyeshadows either, because I don't entirely know the formula or the palettes in my collection as wholly as I'd like to. But this one is kind of like the first one that I have been trying to get to know, and I just don't feel like it's doing anything for me. So it is time to definitely part ways with it. This is a brand that no longer exists. I've had this in my collection for 3 or 4 years, and the only reason why I have 3 pans in it is simply because I rolled it into my Pan Those eyeshadows project, and I've never really felt compelled to reach for it otherwise in all of the time that I've had it in my collection. So it's run its course. I actually have a couple of skincare products as well that I'm going to be parting ways with. And this first one, my goodness, I should have decluttered this long ago. I don't know why I still have this. I actually don't even know why I moved with this, but this is the Teami Detox Mask. This is a green tea and clay mask. You can see it's become completely dry and cracked. However, I think you can also tell I used a heck of a lot of this product. I used so much of this. This was something that I did receive in PR shortly after I started my channel, actually, and I really enjoyed it when I first got it. I did have much more oily skin at the time. I had a lot more problematic acne skin as well at the time, and I really liked it. I thought it was a great product. But since my skin has changed after being on an acne medication, my skin has become much more normal, and honestly, my lifestyle just hasn't leaned towards me being able to do as many or as frequent face masks. And whenever I do want something that's more detoxifying, I just haven't been remembering to reach for this. And it got to the point where this dried out. I don't even know when that happened. It must have been earlier this year, last year, quite possibly, because it's not even, like, I can't scoop any of this product out of it. There's nothing coming up on my hands. So it's completely solid. I don't know how it got to that point, but yeah, I did like it at one point. It just, oops. I have no other words, but oops. And then this item is another one that I received in PR. This is the Derma E Sun Defense Mineral Oil-Free Sunscreen. This is the SPF 30 for face. I talked about this on my Instagram several times, and then I've also mentioned it as a fail in a favorites video. I do not like this whatsoever. I don't know why I still have it. Again, this is one of those things, like, why have I been holding on to it? I know for a fact it doesn't work for me. I have reached into it and tried to make it work a couple of times ever since I established that it didn't work for me. And every time I'm disappointed. Every time I'm like, why did I try this again? So it's time to just go in the trash. I cannot deal with this at all. It is not good. Not good. It's a really bad sunscreen. I advise you to steer clear entirely of it. Do not go anywhere near this. They should not be selling this. It has such a severe purple white cast, if you can even work it into the skin. It just seems to pill and ball up on itself and create this horrendous texture. It's impossible to work with, and it's just not good. It's not good. I will also be parting with this teeny tiny little bit of the Pixi Glow Tonic. Truly, I don't even know why I've been holding on to this. Yeah, that's ridiculous, but I have come to the conclusion that this is far too expired for me to use on my face. I tried to use this last probably in April or May of this past year, and that was around the time that I started getting really bad rashes. I had a series of really bad experiences with rashes on my face, neck, and hands, and I do think that this was probably in part it may have been one of the culprits of that. I do have a now confirmed fragrance allergy, which sucks. And I know there's fragrance in here, but I also do think it was just because it was expired. I have had this in my life since 2019. I remember that because I bought it before I went on a trip. And I don't know if it was the fragrance or the expiration or a combination of both of those things, but I do think that this was one of the culprits of the really bad experience that I had. So why it's still in my life, I do not know, but I kind of just wanted to also update you on that. I should have tossed this long ago, but I found it in my skincare drawer as I was kind of trying to do a little bit of a purge and reassess the situation. And I did roll this into my non-makeup project pan that I was doing last year, and I never updated that project. So that is the experience that I had with this product, and no, I was not able to finish it off, and I will never ever be. I'll never repurchase it again because now I'm honestly very much afraid of it. And then the next product and the final product I have that I'm going to be decluttering is one that I wish I didn't have to do this. This is the OleHenriksen Banana Bright Vitamin C Serum. This is a very nice serum. Don't get me wrong. I did receive this from Influencer, and I used this a lot when I first got it. I really enjoyed it. I felt like it made a huge difference for the hyperpigmentation on my skin. It sat very nicely underneath of other moisturizers for day and nighttime. And recently I have been trying to implement this back into my skincare routine. However, it is a little bit older, so I'm not sure that the vitamin C is good in it anymore, but it also may be because of the fragrance that I've just not been having a very good experience with this. I have found that every time I try to put this on my skin, I get a small bit of irritation, and then I wipe it off. I just go back to the sink, wash my face again, and avoid using this. And I've kind of tried it, like I've been really pushing it. I've tried it a few times now, and every time I have that same experience. So not sure whether it's the vitamin C or the fragrance, or again, a combination of both of those things. But it just is not working for me anymore. I have no idea how much product is left in here, but I'm sure there's quite a bit because I do tend to rotate through my skincare products instead of just like using up an entire serum at once. I want to change that consumption habit really and truly, because otherwise I end up allowing things, even small things like this, to expire instead of just getting finished off. And same with this, it may be expired. It may be now that my skin is more prone to have irritation because I've been exposed to having that rash several times. Like I triggered a more and more severe reaction to each instance. So I'm not sure, but it's not worth the risk anymore. I'm definitely feeling a lot lighter and really happy to be parting ways with most of these products so that I can go forward enjoying the things that I already own and loving on the things that I already own in place of these. And I have a feeling not one of these products will truly be that missed from me because I have so many other products in my collection. I have so much other makeup and skincare that I need to enjoy and use. So that is everything that will be leaving my collection, leaving my life, and not coming into the new year with me. I'm very happy to be parting ways with the majority of these items. and making more room in order to actually love on and appreciate the things that I already own. I am not going to simply use this as an excuse to acquire more stuff, because I'm very much in this mindset of wanting to consume and use up what I already own, love on what I already own. And this just allows me so much more to actually love the other things, as opposed to wasting my time with trying to get use out of these things that aren't serving me anymore. That's really what I'm feeling these days. But yeah, that's everything. I really appreciate you watching today's video and spending a little bit of time with me. It means so much more than you'll ever know. I really hope that you had an amazing holiday period as well. And yeah, I don't know when this video is going to go up, when I'm going to have an opportunity to film it, but I really hope that you enjoyed the holiday season. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.